Hey, Hound Dogs, I'm David Hankins,
And I'm Paul
and
Hankins.
welcome to On the Air with Power Squared. This week, we're going to talk about a future issue, issue number 19 at this point,
Yes.
Kamaitachi,
Kamaitachi.
Kamaitachi, which is a story that you have written.
Yes.
We are, just so you know, our artist is completing work on issue 18,
Yes.
and so we want to see the next script, and so this is the next one up.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about the story?
Okay, well, the story involves Marty and Eli encountering three weasel yokai called Kamaitachi. Uh, Kamaitachi are basically yokai representing the phenomenon where, like, you fall over and you suddenly have a bunch of scratches.
Right.
So I thought that concept was interesting. Uh, like enough to try to make a story around it. I tried to make the issue kind of a one-off, and I wanted it to be more action oriented because we do have stories with action in them. But I thought it would be, I don't know, I guess I wanted to try to experiment with making an issue that was mostly about action.
Okay.
And I was also inspired by the Yosenju cards from Yu-Gi-Oh, which are an archetype based around that yokai.
Okay, so why don't you give us tell us a little bit more about this type of yokai.
Uh, okay, well, I don't remember like everything about them off the top of my head, but I do know that there are multiple interpretations of it. Including how many yokai are there, but it's usually 1 to 3. So I went with the interpretation where there are 3 because I thought that would be more dramatic.
Okay, and so this takes place where?
This takes place entirely at San Romero Community College.
Wow. Hey. All right. And
Uh,
what characters are in this story?
Kind of just the core group. Marty and Eli, their friends, and Jennifer. Mocha isn't involved because I wanted the boys to also do something entirely on their own.
Okay, that's good. And this kind of fits in with. I believe we're really developing the yokai side of things. I mean, Mocha's been a yokai, but we haven't really done a lot with it until kind of recently.
Yeah.
The issue 18 that we're finishing up is the end of a trilogy or 3-story arc.
Yes.
About Mocha and another yokai named we're calling Raven.
Yeah.
And she is a
Yatagarasu.
that's good. And so this is sort of a continuation with more yokai.
Yes.
So okay, so give us what was your inspiration for this?
Okay, there are in Yu-Gi-Oh, the Arc 5 anime introduced the Yosenju cards, which are based on the Kamaitachi yokai. They're not the first interpretation of it in Yu-Gi-Oh, but it's most interesting, and it's the most interesting because it was given more depth in its own play style of like doing a bunch of normal summons and returning to the hand. But the looking at the artwork of the 3 main cards and then reading more about the legend around them gave me the idea for the story.
Okay.
So I have the cards here. For those watching, some will probably cringe that these aren't sleeved. We've got
But you had to unsleeve them for the.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
We have the 3 right here. Hopefully that's showing up well on camera. So they each of the Yosenju, 1, 2, and 3 correspond to the roles of the interpretation where it's 3 yokai. So Yosenju, 1 is based around the first one, which knocks people over. The second one, 2, is based around the actual slicing. And Kama 3 is based on the third one, which which also heals the wound, as you can see by the medicine in his hand.
Because that's something that does come up in the story.
Yeah.
All right. So they work as a trio.
Yes.
So if there's just one, he do all three of those things?
I assume in interpretations of that legend, it would be one that does all three.
Okay. All right, and without giving too much away, why are they going after Marty and Eli?
It has to do with our mysterious doctor.
Okay. Dr. Atlas?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Who at the end of 18 is, well, we won't talk about what happens in there, but, okay. So now, one of the things you wanted to bring into this was more of a manga feel.
Since Power Squared is based on a fusion of Western and Japanese influences, when I wrote the script, I had the dynamic panel layouts from manga in mind, and I was encouraging our artist Rachel to dip into that more, and I even threw in a reference to another series.
Okay, so kind of talk a little bit about that. I mean, for a lot of people, comic books are, they're little panels on, you can have 12 on a page or whatever sometimes.
Yeah.
And then sometimes they have like angles, and we've gotten a little bit where, the image goes outside the panel or crosses panels and all that. So what's the different look that you're looking for in this?
Okay, so shonen battle series, especially like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure or even Yu-Gi-Oh! At times, they'll have there are some layouts that are considered more standard, but when it comes to the action, they have really dynamic panel layouts where they're very non-standard.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll have panels of varying sizes and shapes, or they're at different angles, or they it's hard to explain without a visual.
Right, no.
But it's in ways that help emphasize how dynamic the action is as well. And it can be I don't want to use hyperbole to describe it, but it's a different experience.
Okay. Now, we talked a little bit about a manga last week.
Yeah. My Hero Academia.
Right. And you read manga
right to left
instead of left to right.
Yeah.
I mean, would it make sense to do this issue as a right to left?
Well, since the entire comic so far is left to right, it would still make sense to do left to right.
Okay, I just want how dynamic you want it to go. That would really make it stand out as an issue.
But it would be hard to put into a trade if it suddenly changed direction.
Can we just flip it? I'm kidding. I don't know how that would work, but I mean, everything would be different, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess that would not work at all. But I just thought it would be an idea. So what do you see us doing more stories with yokai?
I originally wrote the issue with the idea that before I edited it for where we are now, I wrote it with the idea in mind that they had been already fighting yokai for a while.
Okay.
So it was always made with the yokai side of the conflict in mind.
Okay. Now, in our story, just sort of big picture, we have yokais kind of fighting each other.
Yeah.
Some that are led by this mysterious Dr. Alice, and some that are on sort of, I'll say Mocha's side.
Yeah.
Of the equation. Sorry.
Yeah.
So we have these two kind of different groups within the yokai world fighting each other, and Marty and Eli have just sort of gotten stuck in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just big picture so people kind of know.
Yeah.
And then, so this is more focusing in on one particular incident.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I guess in a way it was just I guess you could interpret it as an issue where we're like cutting loose.
Okay. Good.
And just kind of seeing what we can do. So I suppose it's a little more experimental in that regard.
All right.
But when I wrote the script, I still tried to keep within continuity and make sure that the characters all sounded like how they should.
Okay. All right. So anything else you want to talk about with the related to?
I guess I'll admit when I was writing the panel numbers, including like suggested placement of the panels, I had a little bit of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure in mind, but that's because I was reading one of the Diamond's Unbreakable hardcovers. Though Rachel doesn't necessarily need to copy what Araki does, but it was generally, I guess, supposed to be more of the shonen battle kind of thing.
Okay. Do we know if she's familiar with that at all?
Yeah, I would want to say she's familiar with that kind of stuff.
I'm not trying to
Yeah.
downplay her experience, but it just we'll find out, I guess, when she gets around to it, which will be really soon.
Like her cat's named after Suzy Q Joestar.
Okay, well, there you go. So maybe we can, as the artwork comes in, kind of show it off here on the show.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of interesting. So we're going to start with just here's the concept, and then we can move into as we review the artwork, and we can just watch this issue come together. Phew,
well, I guess you could think of it as a standalone episode.
Right, well, it's a standalone. And it might be a way to introduce people. Another way for someone to get into it would be a one issue.
Yeah.
As opposed to, but I mean, we've had. I like the idea that we're actually dipping more into some of the yokai stuff.
Yeah.
And I still like the idea of keeping the powers going, but also the. This bigger battle.
It'd also be interesting to see Rachel's interpretation of the yokai themselves, because again, because of my own reference pools, I was thinking of these, not exactly this design, but the idea of them having distinct looks
and
personalities
and purposes. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So it should be interesting. So we should, as we get the artwork starting next month, we should come back and walk through it.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of interesting. So we get this is the beginning of something bigger.
Yes.
All right.
Hopefully I explained it well.
And people want to read it. So right now, in case you're, issue number 11 just came out. So this is a ways in the future.
Yeah.
I like the idea that we're working way ahead. None of this tight deadlines here.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to talk about?
I think that's about it. I don't want to get too rambly or say something I don't want.
Okay. All right.
Get something wrong.
So, you have a interest in Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
Just thought we could mention that.
Yeah.
And
ever since Duel Monsters first aired over here.
Wow, so it's a long time.
Yeah.
And you have quite the collection of cards.
Yes, I will not say the number.
Because it's really high.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's why these were of an interest for you.
Yeah.
All right.
I actually have the whole archetype, but these were more relevant.
Okay. All right. So.
If you are watching this on YouTube and you enjoy this, please leave a like and consider subscribing and leaving a comment if you have any thoughts on Kamaitachi.
All right. So until next week, I'm David Hankins.
I'm Paul Hankins.
And you've been on the air with Power Squared.